Welcome to Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant podcast. These are the stories of those who have received, given, and who are waiting for the gift of life, organ transplantation. Now here's your host and heart and kidney recipient, BJ Odom.
Welcome to the Gift of Life podcast as we wrap up the month of August and our celebration for National Multi-Ethnic Donor Awareness Month. Let us move on with a brand new show and a brand new topic. Because sometimes in life, you cross paths with someone who leaves a mark on your heart forever. And it happens in the most unexpected ways. That's exactly what happened to me on a recent visit to Tampa General Hospital. I needed a ride, so I called a Lyft. And that's when I met Tammy Zettles. As I got in her car, I noticed a Donate Life sticker on her front window. Just a small sticker, but it opened the door to a conversation I'll never forget. Tammy is a donor mom. Her son DJ passed away far too soon at the age of 21. A heartbreaking loss that no parent should ever have to face. But even in that moment of unmanageable grief, DJ became a hero. He was an organ donor, and because of that choice, he saved and enhanced many lives. Today, Tammy joins us in honor of DJ's life and legacy. She brings more than just a story of loss. She brings a message of hope, strength, and the unbreakable bond between mother and her son. You'll hear about DJ's spirit, his dreams, and the light he continues to shine through Tammy's voice. I'm honored to call Tammy a friend, and even more honored to welcome her to the Gift of Life family. This is a conversation about love, legacy, and power of one decision to change everything. Don't go away. We'll chat with Tammy coming in next. Welcome to the podcast, Tammy. And if you would, let's get started by you telling us just a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Personally, I'm from Tampa, born and raised, and have 3 children. My daughter is 35. My son, who passed away, would be 31. And I have a 15-year-old. So I have Sabrina. DJ passed away, and we have RJ. So we have lots of J's here today. BJ, RJ, DJ, right? So again, like I said, I've lived here my whole life. And right now, currently, I actually worked for the school district for 22 years, but I retired, and I currently just do Uber and Lyft.
And I should say that this was a very strange, it wasn't a strange experience, but I hardly ever use Uber or Lyft. Yeah. And I was at the hospital for an appointment, and I had to go, just a few miles to another appointment. And my wife happened to be at Moffitt because she had some appointments. So she dropped me off earlier in the day, and I go, well, I'll just, I'll take an Uber or a Lyft or see if I can find a shuttle or something. And so I have this wonderful woman, Tammy, pick me up at the hospital. And, we're driving, and maybe I should ask you proper etiquette. I jumped in the back. I don't know if you like people to jump in the front or the back. And so before we get started, I'm going to ask you what proper etiquette is in a Lyft.
Yeah, typically it's best to get in the back. I like the front seat. I always keep the front seat of the passenger side all the way up to give the person more leg room. But if it's just one single person or even a couple people, they typically just get in the back. They don't even ask. I think that's kind of what they're, taught to do. Again, I don't know what it says on your end, but on my end, it's like passenger side behind, behind the passenger. But if somebody wants to sit in the front, I'm not opposed to it, but usually somebody will ask, is it okay if I sit in the front? Or like I said, again, if it's 3 people and they don't want to be crowded in the back, do you mind if one of us sit in the front? And not a problem.
Well, and then as we were traveling, I noticed you had a Donate Life sticker in your front window. Now, to me, being a recipient of a heart and a kidney, that really means something. So I know, okay, somewhere in this young lady's life, she has been introduced to organ donation. And unfortunately, DJ was the way you were introduced. Now, let's just tell everybody right up front, DJ was your son. He passed, and I'm going to let you tell the story in your words.
Okay. Well, DJ was, as a child and a teenager, he was completely healthy, never had any type of health issues, and his two loves were fishing and making music. So he would either be a professional fisherman if he could, or a professional rapper. So that was his two things. But at the age of 20, just out of nowhere, he had a seizure in his sleep. So when after we got out of the hospital, because we didn't really know what to make of it, we of course, sent him to the hospital in an ambulance because it was a very scary thing. He just like woke up out of his sleep and just had a full-blown seizure. So the doctor told us that, it could be a isolated incident. He may or may not have another one. Well, within a month, he had another one again upon awakening from his sleep. So now they diagnosed him as an epileptic. So with that happening, he lost his driver's license, which I'm sure that's how most people sign up to be organ donors. And that's what DJ did when he got his driver's license at the age of 16. He checked yes. We didn't ever discuss it. It's just not something a lot of people talk about. You just do it, or, and now we know, like, let your family know your decisions. Just talk about these things with them, but we didn't talk about it. So he lost his driver's license. He was put on medication, and it was just for 2 years. Like I said, he was 20, and then he was 22 when he passed away. For 2 years, it was just a emotional roller coaster. One of the medications controlled his seizures, but he didn't like the side effects of it. So he changed medications, and we found out that 2 out of 3 people who have epilepsy will never know the cause, just the triggers. So DJ's was his sleep, the pattern of his sleep. And what, I do believe there was more to it than that, but I didn't have a chance to actually go there and find out because 2 years was it. He would start to go into what they call status. It's where you have one after the other. You don't actually fully come out of the first one. So this was he lived with me, DJ, and RJ, was 6 at the time. He was 4 when his brother's seizure started, and then 6 when he passed away. So let's just say he had one seizure. I wouldn't call the ambulance because he would come out. I know he's aware now, but if he goes into another one, then I would call. And paramedics, they knew our house. They knew when they were coming, what they were coming for, and would always take him to the hospital. And me and RJ would be right behind the ambulance. And when we get there, he would be intubated, usually an overnight stay. He would wake up. They would take off the sedation, and he would wake up, and, back to the same thing. I don't even know how many seizures he had in this 2 years, but it was a lot. And if he met you right now and he were still going through this, he would tell you that he was afraid to go to sleep every night because he was afraid he wasn't going to wake up. And I honestly was too. I would go to work. I had to be at work at 6 a.m. And until I heard that phone ring and it was him, I was afraid. Like, I didn't know because, he could aspirate, all kinds of things. He could get up, not aware, fall and hit his head, anything. So, and he was, that's the other thing. It was physically challenging, but mentally as well. Like I said, he was afraid to go to sleep and couldn't get his driver's license, and, just wanted to be a normal 22-year-old, drive around, have fun, take a girl out, whatnot. So in May of 2016, he was 5 months without a seizure, and had to go 6 months to get his license back. So in May, at the beginning of May, he had back-to-back seizures, and I had to send him to the hospital. And we were at the hospital, and he woke up like normal the next day. And first thing he says to me is, "I guess no driver's license." And me being mom, I said, "It's okay. I'll be your chauffeur forever." But what 22-year-old wants that, So, and again, for 2 years, multiple times, Mom, what's wrong with me? I was completely fine. Like, what is wrong with me? And I couldn't tell him. I didn't know the answer, which is a very hard thing for a mom not to be able to help their child.
I can only imagine. Yes.
Yeah. So he had that one in May. Obviously didn't get his license back. Well, so then in June, it was a big weekend for him. He had like I told you, he loved to make music and rap, and he had a show lined up in Ybor City at the Orpheum.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, it was a big deal to him. Like, all his friends are going to be there, family, everybody. Like, so it was Friday night. He did his show. He was just, so happy. And me as mom, I'm like, I know his sleep patterns, like I'm always like, you got to get enough sleep. You got to go to sleep. You can't, you got to, but he was partying. And we did his show at the Orpheum. We went home. I went home, and then he went to the casino with his buddies, came home like the next morning, like 5 a.m. And it was RJ's actual birthday party. So like I said, RJ was turning 6 at the time. And DJ didn't want to go to sleep. He was ready to help me get ready for the birthday party, and I'm like, oh, you got to go to sleep. He wouldn't go to sleep. So off to Walmart he goes with RJ's father, and they're buying stuff for the party, and come back, we party all day. For about 4 years of RJ's birthdays, I got this big, huge water slide, and everybody loved it. And once all the little kids left, the big kids would put soap on the water slide. So now the party's over. Now the big kids are putting their soap on the water slides. Of course, RJ's going right down with them, So they're doing this and party on, and party's over, and he wants to go back to the casino. It was just like 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, so they all go back to the casino. And he came in, I think around 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, and I woke up 8 a.m. ish, and he slept downstairs and we slept upstairs, and I heard him, and I walked down, and he was having a seizure. And of course I waited, and he went into another one. So I called paramedics. They got there and went off, and same thing as normal, and got to the hospital. And one of the paramedics that was on the ambulance came out, and he's like, we did everything we could, and I'm like, I didn't really think about it, like, I'm just like, okay, I appreciate it. I'm thinking it's like normal. So I go in, and I'm sitting in the little area in the ER, and the doctor comes in, and he says, he's still in the emergency room. He says, and he's sedated and intubated like normal. He said, when you go in, it really looks like we were trying to save somebody's life. So, don't be surprised. And I hadn't been told that either, but I, again, didn't think anything different of it. So I went in, and we just sat there with him until he got put in a regular room, and he goes up to the regular room. And I think at one point I went home, and DJ's father was there for a little bit with his wife at the time, and just the normal thing. The next morning I went back to the hospital, and they had taken the sedation off, and he wasn't waking up. And I'm like, okay, something's not normal here. So throughout the course of that day, I find out that they were not able to intubate him in the ambulance because he was vomiting, and he went into cardiac arrest, and he went 19 minutes without oxygen before they revived him.
Oh, okay.
So here I am on Google. What does 19 minutes without oxygen mean? Like, I'm not sure. And I'm looking, and I'm like, it doesn't mean anything good, So getting told the things from the doctors, and then now everybody's knowing, that something's not right. His friends are reaching out. I mean, it was very overwhelming. I have his friends' parents sending me things like, look at this person. They went 28 minutes without oxygen, but obviously over the course of the next few days, nothing changed. We had many, tests done, and the doctors are telling us that he's essentially brain dead. And LifeLink approached me at one point, and I wasn't very nice to them the first time that they approached me, because I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is not happening, It's probably about 3 days in, and they left me alone. And he had a magnificent nurse that at night, his night nurse, whose name was actually JR. He was just phenomenal. I talked to him a lot, and obviously he's seen this kind of situation before being a nurse, and then I'm learning that the longer we go on, the more organs that could fail, and he may not be able to help someone. So on Thursday of that week, his lungs filled up with fluid. So that made them not viable for transplant. And at that point, my daughter, like I said, she was 4 years older than him. So at that time, she was 26. She said, Mom, we have to make a decision here. She said, DJ has such a good heart and I want somebody to have it, you know? So I knew at that point that we had to do this sooner than later because I knew, I honestly, when I think about it, I'm glad that it went the way it did because let's just say he would have, had the use of the bottom half of his body or not, you know what I'm saying? He couldn't use his right side. Like, I know DJ wouldn't have wanted to live like that. So I believe that this happened the way it happened for a reason, definitely, for many reasons. So we made the decision and we were in the hospital and, he just has a huge circle of friends. And I was using social media to tell everybody what was happening. And the majority of the time there was always lots of people there. And when we made the decision, so LifeLink, or not LifeLink, but the nurses, when they get like they tell them, they would literally come in the room and say, we have a kidney recipient, we have a heart recipient. Like, this was throughout the course of an evening. And once they had all the recipients that they could get, they told me that I could walk him down for the surgery. And I wanted to touch back on something else. One of his friends was like, he called me Ma. He's like, Ma, I'm not okay with this. Like, this is just weird to me. And I was like, just think about if DJ was laying there and he needed a heart and they walked in the door and said they found him a heart. Like, I get that this is not, normal, but it could be the flip side for sure, because you just never know. So when they took him down for the surgery, I decided not to go. I told JR that I was leaving it to him because he had taken such good care of him, and I put it in his hands. And he went down, and well, the rest, that's why I'm here talking to you, obviously. I obviously had DJ's celebration of life, and when I spoke at his celebration of life, the last thing I said is that I know that my son is at peace now and he's not afraid to go to sleep anymore. And I'm so thankful that he was able to help all these people through this, Again, not everybody understands and believes in it. Throughout that week when I was planning his celebration, I was talking to one of the neighbors, and we know all the myths and all that. All right, she was in her 30s, and I told her that DJ, saved 4 people's lives, plus enhanced the lives of 67 others through tissue. And she was like, oh, I'm not an organ donor. They won't work to save your life. And, of course, I wasn't going to have that battle with her. Everybody believes what they're going to believe. So it's probably a couple months. Obviously, LifeLink does lots of things to honor donor families. And, at the time, the one girl that was helping donor families, she was pregnant. So I only dealt with her for a little bit of time, and then somebody else took over. And they just do so much. Like I said, they have this, this was prior to COVID, so there was a lot more at the time. But I don't know if you ever seen a quilt. Have you ever seen one of the quilts?
Yeah, yes, I have.
Yeah, so there's a quilt square of DJ on every year. I do the quilt square every year, which that's like therapy to me, honestly. So it was a couple months, and I asked, what do I do if I want to contact them? Because I knew in my mind that I could reach out and I could hear from none of them. I could hear from one. I had that in my mind. Okay, this is okay no matter what, but I have to reach out. That's just the person I am. I want to know, if I can, the difference that DJ made in someone's life. So, wrote up one letter, sent it to the two kidneys, the liver, and the heart. That was the organs. And it was about 3 months, and I got a letter back from a young lady in Sarasota. She was 34 at the time. She nicknamed her kidney DJ. That was her kidney's name.
Now, is this before she knew his name, or did that just?
No, they actually tell you that she knew his name.
Okay.
I guess as a recipient, they told her his name.
Oh, things may have changed, because I know that I still don't know my neither one. I still know anything, about my kidney and my heart.
Right.
But, I sent the letters
she
out.
knew his name, and she nicknamed her kidney DJ, and she wrote and told me about herself. And like I said, she had 4 children ranging at that time from like maybe the age of 2 to 14. So now she gets this kidney, and she's, like, it was a perfect match for her. To elaborate a little more on her story, since then I have met her and her children. And I haven't had contact with her in a while, but last I knew she was still doing great. His other kidney went out to California. The lady was 42 at the time, and we just had like contact through Facebook, and she told me a little bit about her journey. She had one kidney prior, but it failed, and she was waiting 12 years for DJs, and they told her it wasn't a perfect match, but you can take it, or you could be waiting another 12 years.
Yes.
So obviously she said yes. And on her story, so after about 1.5 years, the kidney failed. And when I found out, I'm writing her apologizing, and she's like, no, you don't owe me an apology. You have no idea what it's like to not have to go to dialysis for 1.5 years. And I don't, but I know that it's definitely not something that's any fun.
It's almost like it's almost like a full-time job. Really, it really is.
Exactly. And honestly, I have picked up people from dialysis doing Uber and Lyft. And I've had a lot of conversations with people, shared my story, and I've met people who were on the list and all of that. So anyway, so that was the lady in California. The liver recipient, I have never heard from. I just know that he's a gentleman. I cannot remember his age, but when he got the transplant, but he's never responded. I've written a few times. So then the heart recipient, he had just celebrated his 60th birthday on June 11th, and he got this heart on June 13th. So great birthday present. And he didn't write to me for quite a while. And after about 3 years, it was just before COVID, he wrote to me. And, I forgot to say this, but when I found out the ages of his recipients, I felt horrible when I found out that his heart recipient was 59. I'm like, oh, I wish it could have went to a younger person.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first thought. But I almost immediately was like, no, like this person probably has children, possibly grandchildren. Like this person's going to maybe know what I've lost so that they can have this life now, So when he wrote me the letter, so I just love sunsets. And when I got the letter, on DJ's first birthday, we went out to Picnic Island, and we had a big, after his death, we went out there and we had a big celebration out there. So when I got the letter, I got a friend of mine, and we went out to Picnic Island, and I, told everyone that I was going to read the letter on Facebook Live. And when I read the letter, I'm reading it, and I don't have it in front of me, but like part of it said that, because of DJ, I'm able to see the sun rise and the sunset. And I'm literally there watching the sunset as I'm reading this letter. Again, DJ and his sister were 22 and 26. His children were 32 and 36, so 10 years older. So he had a boy and a girl. He was able to see another grandchild be born, see his son get married. So come to find out, what we finally met right before COVID, we actually met at LifeLink. So we got to hear DJ's heartbeat, which was absolutely incredible. His wife was there. Then on DJ's 25th birthday, DJ liked to go to Hooters on his birthday. That was his place. So we went to Hooters and I surprised his family, my family, and DJ's friends with the heart recipient, and they got to hear his heart as
Oh,
well, which was incredible. Um, so then we had COVID. Well, actually, let me go back. So he told me that the reason that he didn't reach out right away is he, had a lot of challenges with this transplant. It's not, hey, here's your heart, go about your business. Now you're good, you know? So he had a lot of challenges health wise. And he did say, he's like, I was afraid that, I didn't want you to meet me and then something happened to me. And then, that just be like another blow to you. But I was grateful that they gave me the opportunity, obviously. So then we had COVID, and he had, like, again, a lot of challenges, and he actually passed away in 2023, but he got 7 more years, like I said, of life. And I went to his celebration, and his family was like, we didn't know if you'd come or not. And I said that no. I said, this is your loss. I said, I've already grieved my son. This is you guys' time. So again, I was grateful that I had that opportunity to see what a blessing it was to people. So fast forward a little bit now, I've got a lot of communication with LifeLink, and like I told you, I volunteer all the time. It's my therapy, and it's my way to keep my son's memory alive, because that was my biggest thing. Is he's so young. This isn't fair. He's just gone now, and I don't want people to forget him.
yeah.
you know, I mean, so yeah, I tell his story every chance I get, not just because I want to keep his memory alive, but because this is a huge thing, a huge deal to so many people. Like, it's crazy. I mean, like I said, I've met people just doing Uber and Lyft who are on the wait list. They're waiting for something. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm just gonna keep on
Now,
doing it as long as I can.
now I'm going to ask you another question too, because you've met the recipients. Have you found any of DJ's traits in any?
Yeah.
Because I told you the story that I had another donor mother tell me about, the
Yes,
whole leaves
the
thing.
leaves.
So
Yes,
have
he
have you
told me
have you
that.
have you experienced anything like
So,
that?
so the kidney recipient, we didn't really talk about that, but I always used to give his heart recipient grief, because I don't think he got any of DJ's traits, but I always used to give him grief, because I'm like, you better take DJ fishing before something happens. But believe me, he took DJ all over the place. He's in Hawaii. I'm like, okay, I'm jealous now,
Yeah.
but he got to do a lot. And so actually, the one thing I would probably say, which was something that they both had in common, DJ loved to cook, and so did his heart recipient. He loved to cook. In fact, the calendar that they've done, his picture in the calendar, he's cooking spaghetti. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's all awesome. So then you would say, as the mother, then, that really, now that it's over, obviously it was devastating, but to see these people and to know that they're doing well, does it give you peace, or how would you describe that?
yeah, definitely. It's just, this was a horrible thing for our family, and to see that something so amazing could happen from it, it definitely gives me peace. And like, I make jokes. I'm like, people have their bumper stickers, proud parent of this, or proud, army mom or something. Like, I'm a proud donor mom, honestly. I'm proud of my son and his death. It's a big deal.
Well, I'm glad you shared your story. It makes me feel good too.
Good, good. Yeah, I'm glad I got the opportunity to meet you too. I mean, just like I say, everything happens for a reason. And, um, yeah, this is
Yeah.
one more time I get to tell my story. Like I told you, I just, that week I think was it the same week? I think it was that same week I had just done, at the driver's license office to the new hires, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where most of our donors sign up. So that's one of LifeLink's, things that they do. And obviously I do it every chance I can get.
Well, this story will live in what is that? Because they say whatever you put out on the internet, it lives forever. So
Yeah.
DJ's story will be living forever out there on the World Wide Web, or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
Again, Tammy, I thank you so much for sharing your story. You know, I'm glad you actually appreciate doing it, because I know it can't be the easiest thing for you to do. So I do appreciate it. So what would you tell someone that is in that room at that time and everything is just going south? What would you tell them?
That's so tough, because again, like I said, everybody just handles things differently. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got a lot of grief for making this decision and taking DJ off life support, even though that was my child. And I got like, how could you do that? It's hard. I mean, I would tell people, obviously that's a private thing. I get that they were his friends and his friends' families and whatnot, but it was so overwhelming. And to have to make a decision like that, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but I knew it was what I had to do. I knew it was the right decision. Again, I could have let him just pass away, but gosh, I have this opportunity to do something that he said he wanted to do. Whether he gave it much thought or not, I don't know, but he said yes. So I'm going to have to go with, he thinks that would be a good thing. So let's do this.
Is there anything that we missed, or anything you'd like to share before we let you go today?
I don't think so.
We covered it pretty well.
I think so.
Well, thank you again for sharing DJ's story. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for joining us today and sharing DJ's incredible story with us. It is so much appreciated. And be sure to join us each week for a new heartfelt episode of Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. And if you have a transplant story, please email us, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you've got comments about the show, love to hear from you. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, and also don't forget to like and share this episode with friends and family. We appreciate that 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Another podcast you might enjoy is myself and my former morning radio partner, BJ and Bill, the podcast, all on the Podcast Playground Network. And we want to thank them for making this podcast possible. Until next time, I'm BJ Odom. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey and reminding us all to appreciate each and every day and to treasure the extraordinary gift of life.
He was running on empty, heart fading fast. Doctor said, man, you ain't gonna last. But a stranger's kindness, a gift so true, turned the night sky into something new. He got a second chance, he got a brand new spark, like a freight train rolling back from the dark. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. 15 years later, the road got rough. The fight ain't over when the climb is tough. Needed a kidney, the race was on. Another hero stepped up, kept him strong. Every breath he takes is a tale of hope. One life saved, another can cope. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. Doctor's hands, a donor's grace, running on down to a brand new place. Second chances don't come twice, but when they do, man, they feel so nice. So let's spread the word, let let the people know. One yesterday lets a miracle grow. You don't need wings just to save a man, just a little love, a helping hand. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. BJ still rocking, still standing tall. Thanks to the ones who gave it all. Gift of life, hear the sound. Pass it on, pass it down. The Gift of Life podcast hosted by BJ Odom. Listen now.